That's great. So, for my viewers also, I'll just try to say that, ladies and gentlemen, it is privileged to introduce a true titan of the digital age, checkbooks, right? A two-time presidential appointee and a foundational plank holder of the US Department of Home Security. Chuck is globally recognized as one of the most influential voices in the cybersecurity across the globe. And as well as for the emerging technology, right? From the halls of Capitol Hill to the lecture halls of the Georgetown University, his vision has shaped many global enterprises navigate the complexity of our hyper-connected world. As a prolific author and a top-ranked global influencer, Chuck doesn't just analyze the future, he helps build the framework for the resilient global society. Today, he joined us to put some light into his achievements, to inspire global community, and decode the convergence of AI and a quantum security and the tech landscape of 2030, offering a roadmap for a secure and a prosperous digital frontier, right? So I'll welcome Chuck to just put his some of the achievement, because there are so many I have noted down. My paper were less actually. Amazing. And we are connected with Chuck. I connected personally with the LinkedIn, I think in 1st April 2017. It's 9 years now. And I'm following him continuously from that time. And I'm getting more energy day by day whenever I see him and posting him, right? Over to you, Chuck.
Thank you so much for the very kind introduction and for the work you're doing. Very important. And you're right. We've been connected a long time now, but it's going by so quick. I think part of the impact of the digital world is that things seem to be going quicker and quicker because you have so much information in front of you, and time seems to fly. It used to be a much slower world before we had all this digital connectivity. Um, I think you wanted me to speak basically on where we're going and where we are, and this is a really interesting time. As you mentioned, it's a global connectivity. It's not the one thing that about digital connectivity and in this world is that it doesn't matter where you are, as we thousands of miles away, and the ability to share information and act on it pretty quickly. And this has really impacted cybersecurity in a big way because when you look at the history of the internet, it was never really built for security. It was devised by Xerox and DARPA and a friend of mine named Vint Cerf, who now works for Google. They thought it would be a nice vehicle for communication, and it was. It turned out to be a big one. But the problem is, all of our commerce and connectivity and operational stuff with IoT and OT now are connected to the internet. So we have a dilemma, particularly with threats coming from ransomware and other things that we have to protect, and we have to protect our identities. Those are two big things, and so cybersecurity has really been a challenge in that aspect because we've had to be able to create defenses on something that's very difficult to defend. And the fact of it is that so many people are connected. There's so many targets, and particularly businesses and small businesses and medium businesses, which really don't have much expertise in doing so. So consequently, what used to be more brick and mortar crime has now transitioned to the digital realm, where a lot of organized criminal elements and groups now operate almost with immunity. They have largely they're highly funded. They have great capabilities. They hire the best and the brightest, and they've been very successful, particularly starting with COVID, in using ransomware to extort money and exfiltrate data. And this is now all being compounded with the introduction of artificial intelligence. It used to be that a lot of these activities were done with a group of people manually, maybe some automation. Now, attacks, like particularly phishing attacks, could be fully automated with artificial intelligence, and they can reach thousands of people at once. The graphics that people used to use, if you remember, they're very easy to see the misspellings and the copying. Now you can emulate almost anything perfectly, and hackers are doing this now. They're using social engineering to find out what your likes are, where you shop, what your family is, what you belong to, and they engineer messages that you would think they're coming from someone, and they may even use your bank statements or or Amazon, or pretend to be a friend, and then compound that now with a new element called deep fakes, where they could actually generate artificially did videos and voices that almost look real, depending upon your
Right.
capabilities. Some are very real. But that's a real
That's right.
quick summary. I'll open it up for any questions you have. I wanted to
Mhm.
give we're really in a new ecosystem, and we really need to prepare this ecosystem by first educating ourselves, which you're doing a great job of doing. And the second part is understanding, what you need to do. And what you need to do is still some of the basics. You have to have strong passwords. You have to have multi-factor authentication, particularly that, because it makes you less of a low-hanging fruit for attackers. But you also have to protect your data, segment it, encrypt it, not operate on open Wi-Fi's, all those basics. But now with AI, you're going to be, if you're using these platforms, you're also going to have to understand that most of them are not private, and the data you provide to them
Mhm.
goes out, is being used in other large language
Mhm.
models. So you have a lot of things to worry about. So AI can be used for defensive purposes too, and for tracking vulnerabilities, for looking at how you can augment your antivirus, etc. Know what's out there, the threats, etc. But again, just like anything else, when attacker goes after something, it's asymmetrical. So you don't know necessarily that you're the target, and they have an advantage because they are trying to do bad things, and you may not have all the things blocked. But let me get to you
Absolutely.
if you have any questions. Yeah.
Absolutely, Chuck. You have just touched the correct point of very, very nicely said, actually, right? Because the kind of AI tools are available nowadays, it's for both, actually, for defenders as well, the attackers as well, right? So the awareness is one of the key things, as you touched, right? So I started my initiative called Audit Sec Intelligence, I think 300 days back, right? You might have seen some of my posts coming with
Yep.
every day one post I try to do. What I try to do is I try to tell the title or a topic of that particular thing, why it is important. Second, what are the tips to question the teams or to ask them that what how you can find it out, then the advisory kind of thing what they need to do, very simple language, right? So that the organization can go one control each day is my thought process. Actually, don't go with 100 controls every day, just try to check one control, so the complete environment is thinking about, hey, any question may come to us, right? So they start protecting them within 30 days. Every all the environment becomes habitual that, hey, we need to protect something, right? So that's what I started 300 days back. I think it's a 300 plus post I have done. Wonderful, right? And I learn a lot of things, whatever you do, right? And I like that a lot of things. I visited. I think you studied from, I think, Chicago, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, University of Chicago, yeah. And I teach
Yeah,
now at Georgetown University. And
yeah,
happy to
yeah,
announce
yeah,
today, which you liked, I was awarded Outstanding Faculty Award today for Cybersecurity Risk Management Program, graduate program, which is a big honor
yeah.
for me. And so
You
I'm
are going to
excited
get
about
an
that.
award. Congratulations for that, Chuck. That's one of the wonderful awards which you are going to get, right? Amazing, right?
Yeah,
That's great,
it's
right?
truly satisfying because when you teach, you're helping other people learn, and they go out and expand their horizons. So I started teaching actually initially at John Hopkins University for 2 years on Homeland Security, and then when this is my eighth year now at Georgetown, and these students are the future, and I try and share as
Okay.
much knowledge, and the course I teach is called Disruptive Technologies in Cybersecurity, which I wrote,
Yeah.
and it comes out of my book, a lot of it called Inside Cyber, which how you deal with quantum and AI. And you're right. These are when I wrote it a couple of years ago, I found most of the stuff's already dated. Because we're making so much gains in AI and quantum every week that you cannot really keep track of the potential capabilities that it may have. And we're starting to see that now people starting to wake up to the fact that we're in a different world.
Yeah. See, I have seen that you have very far vision, actually. You start checking that and start publishing, like the space security you have started, I think, 3, 4 years back, right? So I have seen some of the articles into that. And your
Yes.
book,
Yeah.
right? Cyber Inside is one of the amazing things which you have started. Really, really great efforts which you put, right? I really appreciate on that. So
Yeah,
you were
you're
there.
right. I think the space is one of the big areas I think, people neglect to think about, but now we're at that new frontier. A lot of our sensing now comes from satellites, and now it's cheap enough for anyone to send up a satellite, any commercial satellite, and so there's thousands of them up there, but very few of them are protected, and the ground stations are protected. So, we're creating another infrastructure that's unprotected. So there's a reaction right now happening, at least in the security world, to try and protect some of these satellites because we're going to be dependent upon them for everything from agricultural to our communications. So you're right. That's one of the things I should bring up along with AI and quantum.
Yeah, that's one of the key things, right? So
Yes.
I'll just check with some of the your achievement actually. The DHS early days, right? So as a plank
Yes.
holder at the Department of Homeland Security, what was the most critical lesson in leadership you learned there actually? So we would just
Well,
would
that,
like to
that's a
understand something if you can share.
that's a great question. It's interesting because I was working for a United States senator before that, and I got a call and it said, "Do you want to be part of a startup?" And I said, "What kind of a startup?" Well, it's the Department of Homeland Security. So when I went over there, it was really, like any big thing, it was in a bit of a disarray. Luckily, we had some really good people from the Secret Service and Coast Guard that were sort of setting things up, at least the communications, etc. But leadership lessons are really key here because when you start any new venture, and this is a new venture because we consolidated, I think it was, many different agencies and created new ones. And the one that I chose to be part of was science and technology because that was really one of the only new ones. So, and that deals with all the research and development. I saw that things were changing. So I think as a leadership thing is you have to listen. And one of the things that we had were a lot of experts out there, but they were sort of siloed. You had experts on biowarfare, explosives, in communications. Cyber was early back then. We had experts on that too. But so you really have to learn to learn to be a good leader, and you have to really also vest your trust in people you work with. And we did that because we were under the gun. We had a whole Congress reaching out to us that we had to respond to. We had to justify our budgets. We had to communicate with all the new technologies coming in from the outside, from industry. So it was really sort of a whirlwind of activities, and you talk about hectic. It was hectic, but at the same time, it was rewarding and fun. And those years I'll always look really fondly upon because it led me into the private sector where I ended up going and really focusing more on cybersecurity. And that was still early because that was in the 2007 era. And so, after that, my track was all in technologies, was also with a company called Rapiscan, where I was VP of Research and Development for detection of explosives at airports and then mostly other, Xerox Vice President of Homeland Security, and then finally General Dynamics Mission Systems, which was a growth strategy in cybersecurity, other emerging tech. So I think really, for students out there, people looking, the writing's on the wall now. I think technology is really changing everything. And if I recommend to people, they say, "What? Am I going to be out of a job?" No, you have to pivot. You have to understand what the platforms are in AI. You have to look at cybersecurity. It's going to be around forever now because there's just too many threats. And you also don't have. It doesn't have to be a technical. You can have soft skills. You can be a communicator. You can be in sales. You can be in marketing. You could be teaching. I mean, there's so many things you can do in this new emerging technology world. But the main thing you got to do is learn about the technologies and the potential. And that's what I try to do my writings at Forbes and in my book, etc., and other
Yeah.
platforms. It's just get the message out, start immersing yourself in these topics and knowing what they're doing, could do and where you want to go. I mean, because if you're in medicine or in health, there's a lot of opportunities there too. And it's really the world is it beckons you right now. Don't look at it in a negative way, but look at it as a positive way. Except with cybersecurity, where we have definitely a gap, but we need to catch up.
Yeah, that's great thing which you have put the light actually. Wonderful, right? Amazingly. So at the Georgetown University, you teach about disruptive technologies, right? What is the one core competency you believe every cybersecurity professional must master to stay relevant today?
Yeah, yeah. No, I made this course. I think it was 5 years ago, and I wrote it, and we teach it in person, and online too, online. So I think one of the things was of course we were focusing on AI, and then first came generative AI, and now it's agentic AI, and who knows what's next? Maybe neuromorphic, and eventually sentient. But I think
Yeah, yeah,
one of the things that's key is that with it's really not the technology itself. Technologies are tools, and they're used to convergence. You use AI in different areas in industry. You use it, can mix it. Well, we will be able to mix it with quantum soon, which will be a superpower. but
Mm.
you can find applications, and it's not monolithic. There's algorithms, there's the hardware and the devices, there's all kinds of different platforms and large language models. So I think it's a learning curve for everybody, but you're watching this curve change very rapidly, as you see. And I think that anyone teaching needs to be aware that cybersecurity cannot be taught the way it used to be, with the traditional frameworks, because they don't work anymore, because some of the basics are good, still will always be there. And the other
Mm.
thing I think that what these technologies mean, if I have to say one thing that requires us in this world, is resilience, because no one could be totally invulnerable to all the threats out there, but you could be prepared if something does happen, if you do get breached. And you could have incident response set up, you can have backup set up, you could have your C-suite, your IT shop, your sales, marketing, legal, all coordinated on the same effort, because it's inevitable it will happen. There's just too much power out there with AI, enabled attacks and polymorphic changing malware, and finding vulnerabilities. We have some defensive opportunities, like you mentioned, but not everyone's going to have them. I mean, the major banks and corporations probably too, but then they have other issues too. But there's so it's going to be a wild west for a while, until we get off of numbers. I guess anything mathematical can be hacked.
Absolutely right. I think that is a very, very key point. Resilience, right? It's resilience is one of the key things to sustain in the current time, actually, because there may be anything may happen, but however, how to sustain that business to continue, right? So that is one of the key thing which you have pressed.
Absolutely.
So the
Yeah,
AI is
absolutely.
evolving. Yeah, AI is evolving day by day. You have already seen that so many things are coming, right? So one area is called governance on that space, right? So that is called GRC auditing, or to ensuring
Yes.
that whatever is being built inside the organization is it explainable, it is ethical, it is giving the intended outcome, and it is protecting the interest of the stakeholders, right? So there are a couple of questions, right? So what I see is the governance is lagging somewhat behind, because speed is too high of adopting as well as implementing new things, right? What is your view on that governance piece at this moment?
Yeah, you hit that. That word of speed is it's very difficult to keep up, right? The speed of attack has also increased, with less latency now, with 5G. But I think what you just said earlier is too, that understanding your strategy and what you have, and that goes back to several themes. One is zero trust. Is that, we found out a few years back that in government agencies that there are others other in the networks we didn't know were there. They're hiding in the network. So the thing came out called zero trust, where you have to identify everything in your network, your devices, the people using it, their administrative privileges. Basic first step. The second thing you said is now really is everything we do now needs to be, and with new technology, security by design. And that's obviously in the hardware, but it's also in the software, because there's things called software bill of materials, where you can basically, I basically audit and know what's in your system. You also have that with cryptography, bill of materials, all kinds of things that are now taking more importance in understanding what you have and what you have to comply with too, compliance. Because if you're operating in some parts of the world, like Europe particularly, you have to understand that there's risks with GDPR and privacy, and you have to take accountability for those kind of things too. And so there's also the ability now to adapt quickly, which is one of the things that AI does. Is so you have to understand that the information might be out there that you need, so that's why you have to be involved and connected, and talking to the right people. The experts belong to the right associations. Follow the right frameworks. NIST is updating them in the U.S., but they're available to everyone in the world. So you need to really be on top of things, because again, the tactics, the tools are changing, and when those
That's right.
change, and if you don't keep up, you're in trouble. And so and this is just a way to look at what your basic thing before is. We need to continually build our minds up, because we have the ability now we didn't have. I mean, like I said, technology is a two-way street. It has a lot of negative aspects too. It could be used by the bad guys, and they do it usually first before we respond. We've always been responsive, but it also provides the ability to learn quickly. There's nowhere now that you can't go and find information, and you can do that instantly. And plus, you have these platforms that could distill it for you. So, if you're out there right now, I mean, you could. I mean, you don't want to get too carried away, because you could get really engulfed in this stuff with all the different opportunities and see you can become an expert on almost any subject now quickly. You used to have to go to a library and check out books and read, but now you go right to a platform and it'll spell it out for you and all the key components and organize them and priorities and all that helps. It changes the world in a
That's
lot of
right.
ways. It may
Yeah,
also
absolutely right,
hurt
Chuck.
us
That's
too, because we have to use our minds to also to think and be creative too. Because if they stop, if we look at computers and technologies to
yeah,
answer everything for us, then we become dependent on it. We don't want to do that too.
yeah. So actually, I'm also planning to bring some of the because I have experience of auditing, right? From last, I audited more than 200 top organizations in the world in more than 35
Wow.
countries in my past experience, actually. So what I was
Wow.
thinking is to bring something as a micro e-learning kind of a micro learning kind of modules in AI GRC auditing area, actually, so that the people should understand that what kind of question needs to be asked from those teams who are implementing them or who are making them in use of their day-to-day life, right? How to make it more useful with a proper governance, right? With help of three standards which are there, what is one is the ISO 42001, another one is the NIST AI RMF, third one is the EU
Yes.
AI Act. So I try to take some kind of ground from that and try to build that what kind of quality questions can be asked from those people actually. So that's a small module which I'm trying to bring by July actually. So that's in
That's
process at
that's
this.
a great initiative. I mean, you're synthesizing basically the various elements that go into these audits and making them understandable for people to operate with and follow. So I think that's a great service. I'm looking forward to seeing what you come out with.
Yeah, sure. The another initiative which I started as CISO 2.0 AI Edge. I don't know if you have seen any newsletter on that or not, where I try to give a clear-cut direction or clear-cut steps. One title, what 7 days schedule should be there for a CISO to go at a CISO 2.0 identity, right? So how quickly they can adapt because speed requires very fast now, as you already said. AI is at least 10x speed there it is running, right? What about the humans? Human also needs to gear up a bit faster to understand that how we need to adopt that particular thing with a governance, proper security by design, right? So some human in the loop, human on the loop, right? All those kind of things, right? Good.
Yeah,
Now
I
coming
think
to
that's really good. Yeah, and particularly because CISOs right now are overwhelmed, right? And what you're doing
yeah,
is that you're giving them the opportunity to streamline what they need to know quickly, and
that's
they can
right.
function that and then do their other functions and react to other things which they usually takes them away from their duties. So the CISOs need to be enabled, and now they also should be elevated because I think with this digital world, CISOs are key. I mean, they need to be part of the C-suite. They need to be involved in all planning.
Yeah,
It's not the same as it was 5 years ago, and
yeah.
companies need to realize that.
Absolutely. The goalpost is now dynamic. Earlier it was static, right? You know that my
Right.
information is lying here. Now it's a dynamic. Now your goalpost is changing day by day, right? So how you can target that?
That's
How you can
exactly
protect
right.
that?
Yeah. Yeah, no,
Right?
it's morphing, and you may not know what's next, right? So you always have to. You cannot, that's why resilience goes back into it because you
Yeah.
cannot be totally prepared, but you have to be totally informed, right? So being informed is a way to be resilient.
Yeah. So now coming to the AI fear, right? So many professionals are afraid that AI automation will lead to widespread layoffs, right? How can we transition from seeing AI as a threat to viewing it as a collaborative co-worker that augment our capabilities? Actually, what's your view on that?
It's sort of a mixed view right now because if you read like McKinsey, they say it's going to create jobs eventually, and I agree with that, true. But I think right now it's been reactive because, and I don't know exactly that all there's a lot of mechanics involved in some of these layoffs. A lot of the big tech companies, hired a lot of computer programmers initially, and they were able to do vibe coding and get rid of a bunch of them because computer science was a few years ago it was it was the golden ticket. Now it could be automated, but it can't be completely automated. You still need people to do that. But I think there's also reasons for it. I think they're also in the investment area now, and they're cutting back any way they can before they to pull in the investments before they can get a real ROI. So I think we have to wait 2 or 3 years to see what these kind of things happen. But I think, as I said earlier, I think you need to look at understanding the technology and being able to work with it will be a skill. And so, no matter what industry you're in, you need to do that. And that's still technology. That's still sometimes technical. IT is not going to go away. There's always going to be issues. And when
Yeah,
someone gets, their information stolen or whatever, it's not going to be easy for an automated system to recover it. You need
yeah, yeah.
people. But I
They
think,
need people.
I'm still worried. Yeah, I'm still worried about the hype, the fact that it really is. There's AI and other forms have been around for a long time, or robotic process automation, which took away a lot of accounting jobs and call center jobs earlier. So it happens. But I think you have to just any industrial revolution. We had the trains took away the wagons and the horses, but now we have to look and see where we're going. But there's so many opportunities to understand and specialize in certain areas of technology and offer insights. So I think, and also communications, communications, sales, marketing are never going to go away, right? Those areas
Yeah,
you need,
that will be there only.
viability.
Yeah,
So yeah, but
yeah.
I'm worried that sometimes the market reacts wrong or overreacts, to a layoff, and then it's doom and gloom. I don't see it as doom and gloom,
So
but it still remains to be seen, right? So,
yeah, yeah.
I feel so bad for a lot of computer science majors. I have a few in my classes, but they're
Okay.
now going, a different direction, right? They're looking at cybersecurity now. So, we could use their skills, right? And those are still strong skills.
Cybersecurity is more required now than the earlier, if you talk about, right? So, because I see in all the discussion, whatever that solution may be required, the security is having the front seat now, right? Because if
Yes.
that solution doesn't have a security inbuilt, you can't think about keeping that inside your organization, right? So that's great.
Exactly. So that's not going to go away. And people that understand that,
Yeah.
put a premium on security. It should never be a cost item again. It was always looked at companies as throwaway, but they can't because now it's a viability issue.
Yeah. So one question I'll just try to touch base on the quantum, actually, the Q-day strategy, right? So with the quantum era arriving, what should a CISO 2026 to 2030 roadmap look like to present or present their current encryption standard, actually?
Yes. Well, you know what? In the United States, if you're going to be doing business with DoD or Department of War right now, it's required that you have, quantum secure algorithms. That's a requirement
Okay.
as a vendor. I think we're all going that way, but I think, we were looking, if you looked at last year, they were saying that Q-Day was 10 years away, right? It was the CEO of NVIDIA said that. Now, the other day, he's saying it's coming. We're, quantum's on the cusp. Google said that now it's only potentially a year away for quantum for Q-Day. So I don't know what's true, but I think that there's two issues here. One, everyone looks at quantum and they see this big gateway computer with thousands of qubits that will be like a supercomputer, which will be there, and the big ones are building that, the IBMs, the Googles, Microsoft, etc. But there's other aspects to quantum. There's photonics, which is quantum computing. There's smaller qubits with D-Wave and others that still have capacity, and they're quantum algorithms. There's quantum sensing already in GPS, and so we can't look at it in a monolithic way. So I look at it in terms of encryption. AI has already decrypted a lot of things. So when you combine that with a quantum capability, these traditional short algorithms and RSA keys will certainly be vulnerable. And then some say they've already been, breached already. I don't know if that's the case or not, but there's been a lot of claims by, certainly state sponsors that have those capabilities. So I think we have to look as a company or an individual or, particularly a government to ensuring that you don't get cut off surprise. And that really means a different type of encryption, maybe polymorphic, maybe lattice, meeting the requirements. There's some that were approved by NIST. Some of the first ones were all broken, so I don't know. But you really
Yes,
basically
yes.
have to keep your, I still think the best way to keep yourself secure is certainly copy and segment your most vital information. Because I don't know what's out there and what they can decrypt, but it's certainly, there are obviously players in there that have that capability. And I do agree with what Google and people are saying now that it's getting much closer. Q-Day is coming. So we need to
Yeah.
prepare, and we need to have the all that data, either encrypted with other forms or separated from where it could be at risk. So I think quantum, just like AI, is happening more rapidly than anyone expected. So it's here.
Yeah, that's great. So there are many. The last question, I'll just touch base for giving a message towards the new upcoming enterprises or new upcoming startups, I can say. Do you have any message, the upcoming startups that where they should focus for 2030 kind of things in
Yeah,
the
I want to
upcoming?
say that because I think it's a good question, because I think, we're in a startup world right now because we have these new technologies. But what that also does is enables a lot of small business, and really they're the engine of innovation. It isn't these big companies that go out. They usually buy those companies, but the ones that really come out with the ideas and creative stuff are very small. They could be in academia. They could be in a lab. They could be a group of people, and those are, I think, are going to have more leverage now, because I think, you have some really strong minds and expertise in those areas, and they don't have the bureaucracies. The big companies have a lot of bureaucracies, a lot of legal to go through, and they're slow. Governments are the same way. So I think, if you're looking at the innovation, look towards the small business or the individuals out there, the geniuses that come through a breakthrough. I think that'll happen, and I think now they have more tools to work with, right? With AI, anyone could do research, like I say, that they couldn't do 5 years ago. And I think it's well, we're going to live through some exciting times, I think, in the next decade.
Yeah. Okay. I think I have taken you a lot of time. A last simple question. What what drives your passion? Actually, I have seen you passionate about cybersecurity, right? I think you whole day and night. I see that quickly posting coming from you, right, in the LinkedIn, and the kind of
Yes.
followers which you have, right? Amazing.
Yeah, I think, like I said, because we have one identity, right? And we have
Yeah,
our lives to protect our income, our family, and our people. And it's security is just it's a core value for humans, and you can see that it's still important, obviously, in the physical sense too, but in the digital sense, it's just been too easy for criminals to take advantage of people and ruin their lives. So early on, I got involved in cyber, and the idea that also there was a big challenge, because, as I mentioned in this earlier, is that just a lot of companies just said, "Hey, it's a cost item, check it off," but it isn't. And I think it's really one of the things that's happened is just seeing the angling up of people starting to see it. Well, maybe we got breached, we lost all our data, or our reputation, we lost millions of dollars on the stock market. People are starting to realize right now that cybersecurity is invaluable, and it's going to be more and more, like you said, more important as we add more AI tools and other things to it, because it's a battle between the good and bad, right? So, I
that's
think
it.
that cybersecurity is a fundamental to the world we live in. I wish more people at younger ages would understand that, and value their privacy, and look at protecting themselves. But I think we have to look at things differently, and part of the process is getting people to recognize it, and that's why I have a passion for it, because first of all, it's enjoyable to write about it and speak about it, because you're sharing something that's valuable to someone, but it's just meaningful, because you can see the direction, like people like you and others, that we've recognized this early on. This is where the world's going, and we got to protect our world.
That's great. Thanks, Chuck. You have amazing time today in this. So I'll share this in the YouTube as well, and I'll send you the link before making it public, so that if you have any comments on that, right? And then
Okay.
once I
Well,
get your go ahead.
you could do it public. Yeah, you could do it. I mean, it was a great interview. I have nothing I want to retract. I didn't.
Okay.
So that's great. Yeah.
So I'll
So
without any editing, I'll just post that because I also want it
yes.
on that transparent way to put on the web actually. So I try to do that.
Yeah, no,
All
it
right.
flowed very well, and you asked great
Y-
questions. So it wasn't. It was a, I think, we'll share our knowledge together with the on LinkedIn and other places.
Yes. Yeah. So it's very nice interacting with you. By July, I'm also thinking to start some small startup kind of things. Let's see how it goes. I'll
Yeah. Well,
touch
good
base
luck with
with
that.
you
Let me know
that
if you
whatever
need.
I'm doing. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I've always been interested in that, and how I
Right.
could help promote you. Let me know.
Yeah, sure. It's very nice interacting with you, and thanks for your time. And we'll see you soon. And if whenever you come to India, we'll try to meet. And whenever I'll
I
be
hope to
there,
do that soon. I hope to do that soon.
yeah, sure,
I
sure.
was invited a couple times, but unfortunately, the events took its place. But I'm ready to go again. Where in
Okay,
India do you
surely.
live? What part of India?
I'm in the capital of India, that is New Delhi, near to New Delhi. That
Oh, New
is
Delhi.
greater.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I have
So
neighbors from Kerala, and they always talk about it.
yeah,
It's saying how beautiful it is. But
yeah.
so
I
I'm looking
visited
forward to it.
Yeah, I visited many state in United States while I was doing assessment. Actually, I did
Oh,
yeah. So, Carol, I went to the Chicago, Milwaukee, many places. I went there actually, right?
oh,
So,
great. Right, so the heart of the country. Yeah,
uh,
yeah. I'm in Washington D.C. now, which is a different area, but it's just like India, where there's a lot of where depending where you live, there's a lot of
yeah,
different nuances in cultural and food and everything else.
yeah. So it's very nice. Thank you. Thanks, Chuck. We'll
Sure, you're
meet you
welcome.
soon. And
Have a
thanks for your
great night.
time. Thanks. Yeah. Bye bye.
Anytime.
Take care.
Take care.
Sure. Yeah. Thank
Bye.
you.